Wiretapping of citizens' phones.
We heard the Fourth Amendment, so the right to the so-called privacy clauses being violated, yes. Others? Yes, sir.
Second Amendment, I can't put an M16 selector on my AR-15 without making it a Class 3 weapon.
M16 selector on an M15 weapon?
AR-15.
Okay.
There's nothing in the Constitution that says anything about a Class 3 weapon.
Yeah.
It just says
Before you came in the door, there was a recommendation that the Second Amendment, federal gun control laws, are a violation of the Constitution. Other violations?
No, 16th Amendment was never that.
So the tax clauses. The Internal Revenue Code is fine, but the way it's applied, the way it's enforced as though it is, it's imposed as though it is a direct unapportioned tax on labor. That's the way it's imposed, and that's a violation of the tax laws, yes. How about the, yes?
That Obama's new forced voluntary, CERF, I don't know what they're calling it, new CERF program after.
But it's voluntary.
But it's not really voluntary.
Forced voluntary.
Forced
Voluntary. Asked that question, he said, well, of course, of course, but it's required voluntary.
Wow. All right.
It's not.
All young people have to do this?
Everyone under the age of 65.
All young people have to do this?
Everyone under the age of 65.
Is forced to do what?
It's like I'm European, I don't know how to compare it to anything in the U.S. You have to, it's like you use force where you go out and do stuff.
It's public service.
Civilian army.
It's public service, except my understanding of it is that instead of it being the charities that you choose to work with, like Meals on Wheels or something like that, it's a group that are government chosen groups that are government offices.
Sounds unconstitutional to me.
Sometimes they'll be ordered to go in combat. Well,
How about the war powers clauses? The government violating the war powers clauses?
Belongs to Congress, and the president is using the executive power.
They delegated power to declare war to the president, and they don't have that authority.
Exactly. Founders worked very hard to make sure that the decision to apply the armed forces of the United States in hostilities overseas would never rest with one man, the president. It would always rest with our representatives who would have a debate in Congress if the president said, gee, we have to invade Iraq or get into Vietnam or whatever. And then there'd be a debate. Our representatives would ask all those tough second and third order questions to get to the truth of the matter. But as you say, it's the president usurping the power of Congress and Congress acquiescing.
I have a question. I recently heard a speech at Toastmasters where a gentleman said that the United States was the most unrepresented democracy in the world, and said that the Constitution said that we should only have a congressman for every 30,000 constituents, so we would have like 10,000 congressmen and really have.
Sounds like a better idea to me.
So, you know what I mean? So I was like, wow, because they actually know.
So right now, every congressman represents how many people? 464,000?
700,000.
It's up to 700,000?
Yeah, we made it for every 10,000.
Wow. Okay, so we agree. We agree that the Constitution is there as a set of principles to govern the government, not us, and we do that by, we've enabled, by the terms of the document, we have enabled the three branches to do the job we want them to do, but we have also heavily prohibited and restricted, and they are violating these prohibitions and restrictions, these mandates. So what do we do about it? What can we do? What's the solution?
Take them all to court.
What's that?
Take them to court.
The courts are.
Common law court.
Sometimes.
People have been taking them to court.
Of course,
But the courts, when there's a constitutional challenge, it seems like the courts will, more often than not, dismiss the case for lack of standing, saying that the court's decision is not going to have any really concrete, particularized impact on the plaintiff, no different than the harm that's everybody else in the community or the society will suffer, therefore you have no standing, therefore the court has no jurisdiction. So that's an abuse of the standing doctrine. We might as well get into this right now because it's going to come up a few times tonight. The standing doctrine, for those of you who don't understand it, it's not a bad doctrine, but it gets misapplied by the court. If the court is very politicized and corrupt and it doesn't want to hear a case, it will abuse one of its doctrines, like the standing doctrine. The standing doctrine means this: if these two young ladies sue the government or anybody, and they go to court, they file their papers, they pay the fee, and now they're in court. So the court is presumably on its way to determining the merits of their question they raised. The standing doctrine is this: if the court's decision in your favor or against you, up or down, is going to have no impact on your life, then then you have no standing, because the court is not in the business of just chatting with people, right? But if you have standing, and if the court's decision, up or down, one way or the other, is going to have some impact on your life, some meaning to your life, then you have standing in the court as jurisdiction. But what's been happening is the courts have been dismissing cases for lack of standing when people raise these constitutional questions, saying there's no harm to you that's no different from the harm that everybody else in society is going to suffer, so therefore you have no standing. That's absurd. Because this is not a democracy. That's another way of the court saying, if you don't like what's going on, take it up with Congress and see if you can get one more than half the number of people voting in the halls of Congress who agree with you. That's nonsense. That's what you do in a democracy, right? Not a constitutional republic. So what can we do about these violations? If we can't get relief from the courts, if we exhaust our administrative remedies, we talk to people and they refuse to listen, and we go to court and we exhaust our judicial remedies, what about our constitutional remedies? Is there an accountability clause? Are there any? Did the founders give us this wonderful system of governance in which we set the government up as a servant government to secure our rights? Would they have given us this system without giving us some ability to hold them accountable right in the document itself? Is there an accountability clause in the document itself? Anybody? Yes.
Petition for redress.
Petition for redress of grievances is one of the two accountability clauses that it's in the First Amendment.
Second.
And the Second Amendment is the second of the accountability clauses, right? And if the first one doesn't work, maybe the second one will, right? So, the First Amendment. How many freedoms does it guarantee? 5. What are they in the order that they're mentioned?
Freedom of expression.
That's not the first one.
Religion.
Well, religion, worship, freedom of worship, right? That's the first one. What's the second?
The Congress shall make no law.
Congress shall make no law
Concerning the establishment.
That's worship, religion, right? We're free to worship as anybody we want to, right? Any way we want to. What are the other freedoms guaranteed by the First Amendment after worship? Speech, yes. And the third? That's the third. The fourth?
Peaceful assembly.
Assembly, right? We can still get together like this and criticize the government or whatever we want to do. The freedom to assemble. And the fifth, freedom guaranteed by the First Amendment.
Petition.
The right to petition the government for redress of grievances.
Now,
Has any court, the first 4 freedoms have been the subject matter of lots and lots of lawsuits, right? They've gone to the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court has laid out what our rights are, what the government's obligations are under those first 4 freedoms. Has the fifth of those freedoms, the right to petition government for redress of grievances, has that ever been, the meaning of that freedom, has that ever been declared by any court in our history?
well, also, I understood, a very smart friend of mine said, the right to, it's the right to assemble and to petition the government. So the right to assemble is simply to assemble to form a petition.
Well, No, the and is in there.